Well, hello and welcome to Hello Chaos, the unfiltered podcast for founders in the messy middle. No fairy tales here, just the real grind, the grit, and the chaos of what it takes to build a business. Today we have on the show Rob Ekno. He is an award winning author, screenwriter, broadcaster, and speaker. He has been nominated as a finalist for 2025 Author of the Year in the category of personal development. Can't wait to hear about that. Rob is also he's been a professional actor since earning his Screen Actors Guild card in 1995. He's also the executive director of the Knoxville International Christian Film Festival. So many hats that he wears, and I am excited to have him on the show. Rob, welcome.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Great to be here.
And you're my, backdoor neighbor, South Carolina, Knoxville, Tennessee. I love it.
Yep, a hop and a skip down the 40 and 26 and something. I don't know, 85, whatever you
Hey,
go.
that's right. That's right. Well, I'm so glad you're on and like I said, you've kind of been in the entertainment, the production, the creative. We're in the commercial creative business, right? But you're in the entertainment creative business. So I love talking with like-minded spirits for that aspect. But just start us out. Tell us what got you into starting your own company, getting into really foundership, entrepreneurship. Take us down that little journey.
Well, I guess it kind of started years ago when I grew up in Rhode Island, and my old high school teacher had been in the Army and came back and started teaching, and he was in communications. He suggested that we start one of America's first 50 high school radio stations. So about 6 or 7 of us spent about a year and a half. We raised $18,000 and we got our FCC license. We got a 40-foot tower put on top of our high school, and we began broadcasting 200 watts on WCVY FM in Coventry, Rhode Island, 91.5. It is now off the air only a year or two ago. It was
Wow.
quite a while, several
Yeah.
decades. Myself and many others, one of my friends went on to, he's doing other things now, but he was actually an announcer for NASCAR for quite some time on one of the big networks. Another friend bought his own little local hometown radio station and became the big fish in the little pond. And so me, this is important because I'm sure I'm not the only one out there, and I need to be able to help as many people as I can. But I went from that to a wonderful broadcasting career in Boston. I was a nationally syndicated sportscaster, but I took on my family disease of alcoholism, and I learned how to drink really good and then do some other crazy stuff. And before you know it, I went from standing on the field at the World Series in Minneapolis to living out of the Greyhound bus station in Fort Lauderdale.
Wow. So you've taken a journey for sure.
Taking quite the journey, and through a miraculous works, I was able to get back to Rhode Island, got stopped for a DUI on November 28th, 1992. My ex-girlfriend came to pick me up. She was about 20 feet away from me at 4:30 in the morning. And I just looked at her and said, man, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And she goes, I can smell you from here. And I'm like,
So that was like the wake up call of like, all right,
that
shit's
was
got to change.
Well, what's funny is that she, just from watching the misery I went through, she hasn't had a drink in over 30 years, just
Wow.
because. So it was 33 years back about 6 months ago on November 20th. I was blessed to celebrate 30.
Wow. So then after that, like, what did you do? Like, what was the company, or did you go back into working for a broadcaster, or is that when you started your own company?
So I had 11 months of sobriety. My dad gave me a old Chevy Chevette from 1984 that was smoking all over the place with a diesel engine. I drove out to Hollywood. I got into a place where I was able to get my SAG card, and I actually became a host on TV shopping networks for 15 years and sold
Wow.
jewelry. Yep. And then one of the things in between while I was doing that, I got offered the opportunity to work on the TV show News Radio with Phil Hartman and Dave
Yeah.
Foley, Maura
I
Tierney.
love that show.
So
Yeah.
I was on that show for 4 years, and I was the only actor to have a part other than the regular cast on Phil's last show. So I have a wonderful call sheet with the regular cast and my name on it, and Phil and I took a wonderful picture. We were dressed up kind of like this. We had the suits. The episode was called "The Sinking Ship." What if News Radio was on the Titanic and it was sinking, and the wardrobe ladies were able to get outfits from the Titanic. And Phil and I looked so good. I said, Phil, we haven't taken a picture in 4 years. We got to take a picture. And he's like, yeah, okay, let's go. Little did I know 2 weeks later, I'd never see him again.
Yeah, that was tragic, totally
Yeah.
tragic.
So,
So, Hollywood, I mean, when you think of actor, I mean, you're your own boss, right? I mean, you're not you've got to deal with gigs and that's like that kind of managing. You're like you are the business. You're promoting. You are the brand. You are the
hmm
product that you're pitching.
yes,
How was that? Like that was what in the 90s, late 90s, early aughts of
2000s. Yeah.
describe how life was in as an actor and kind of because it's changed so much. I mean,
It has,
I'm sure
it,
you've seen the evolution and like, talk to me about that. Like what it was like then. What are the similarities or what are the things that shaped you from then to doing the things that you're doing now?
Well, until I got here to Knoxville a couple of years ago, I didn't really put all the pieces together, but it's quite clear. And I'm a very spiritual, faithful guy. And so I believe we all have a path. I can go different directions on it and screw it up. But realistically, all of the crazy stuff that I did led me to be in that position. And you're talking about it, Jennifer. One thing that people forget, it's called show business,
Yeah,
right? So it's not just going out there and maybe you got a pretty face or something, one of the Nickelodeons or something where they're just looking for a blonde guy or
right,
whatever, and you can get the gig, but it's a show business, right? So there's the acting part. You got to have money coming in. You got to be able to pay the bills. So you are your brand. If you're not promoting or creating stuff, then you're probably not going to work a lot because the reality is, at least of a few years ago, 80% of members of the Screen Actors Guild in Hollywood made $5,000 a year or less.
yeah. Because
So,
what is the stats like that? Out of the SAG membership, it's what 98% really unemployment, and then the 2 to 3% that are working. The average, yeah, is like under 24,000 a year.
absolutely, which is
Yeah,
poverty level, right?
right,
So, you've got to have other things, whether it be you're able to make some investments or whatever
right,
it might be. You got the side gig. Everybody's in Hollywood has is a waitress or a waiter for the most part, or real estate. A lot of folks do real estate too, but most of them are like that, and everybody's got a script to sell.
right, right.
But, so anyways, it's a bit, so it is all of that led me to having an experience, and then a life-changing situation happened where my ex-wife decided she wanted to go in a different direction. And so I hung out with a friend of mine in Hollywood for a year, and the TV gigs had ended because they were all back east and I was still
Yeah.
in California. And so God sent me a year later up to Alaska.
Whoa.
And I thought things were ending for me. I'm like, Lord, I'm on Huntington Beach in the sunshine and all this beauty, and you're sending me to Alaska. What did I do wrong? And then I got up there, Jennifer. I got offered a job in one of the jewelry stores for the summertime for the cruise ship passengers, and it came with a house and free round trip plane ticket and a car and everything. And I get up there at 9:30 at night in the middle of May in 2014, and I've got eagles flying over my head and the Mendenhall Glacier in front of me and snow-capped mountains. And I'm like, oh my gosh, God, you didn't bring me up here to punish me. You brought me up here to show me how glorious you are.
Yeah,
So this is all leading to your question. So now I had already won some awards as a broadcaster back east before I went out to Hollywood. So I was already an award-winning broadcaster. Now God says, see all these great things that I'm showing you? I need you to start writing books. Now, mind you, I got a D in English in high school. So writing even till today, Jennifer, I don't know where that comma goes or the
Yeah.
the
That's what
semicolon.
editors are for, right?
You got it.
That's
Spot
right.
on, right? And so now I end up getting some books and they end up winning some awards. And so now I'm an award winning broadcaster and author. Then I decided to enter a national competition a couple of years ago for a speaking competition, and I won that. So I now was an award winning speaker. And this is all leading up to something. I'm not trying to, you asked the question, so I'm giving you
Yeah,
the
no, no.
specific answer here. And so then I end up with a fabulous, wonderful young lady, Sarah, in Toronto. We end up getting joined together through a mutual friend, and she's a script writer. So we wrote faith based scripts based off each of my award winning books, which I have four of. And so now I have three award winning scripts as well. And then all of a sudden, God says, you need to go to Knoxville, Tennessee. And I'm like, what am I going to do in Knoxville,
Yeah.
Tennessee? I'm in Hollywood. Jennifer, I was here for 4 months. I entered an award contest for one of my books in Newport News, Virginia. And so I go up there and I had asked a friend in Bristol, Virginia, who's a faith based actress friend of mine, who was one of the ones encouraging me to come here. And I said, why do you think that God brought me from Hollywood to
Right.
Knoxville? And she said, I believe he brought you here to elevate you to heights of a man that he's never taken you before.
Wow.
I'm like,
It's
okay,
profound.
what
Yeah.
does that mean? Right. And so right before I go up to this award ceremony in Newport News, which is like 11-hour drive, and I've never
Right.
been here, I went to the NRB convention in Nashville, National Religious Broadcasters, and a friend from Hollywood, I didn't even know it existed. And a friend says, no, you need to go and show people your books and your scripts and so on. Well,
Yeah.
I meet this wonderful lady named Dorothy Spalding, who owns a TV station in Augusta, Georgia, a Christian station. She invites me down to share my testimony. So I meet Dorothy. I go down to Augusta. I do that and I drive 11 hours up. It was the next day to Newport News. Jennifer, I didn't even get out of my car. It was raining out. I pull into the parking lot, and a stranger I never met runs up to me and says, Sir. I roll down my window. He says, I have been given a message that you are to hear, and you are not to drive home to Knoxville until you sit and listen to the message that I've been giving you. And I'm like, who is this guy?
Right.
I haven't even gotten out of my car. I just drove 11 hours. I have no clue who anybody is in the state of Virginia except for Randa and Bristol. But other than that, nobody. Well, we do this little red carpet event. I got an award for one of my scripts and one of the books. And he says, Sir, where are you going? He goes, everybody's gone. I told you, you are not to leave this place. I have been given a message to give to you. And I'm like, who the heck knows me?
Right.
Right? So I sit down and he goes, Sir, the message is you are now a multi award winning author, speaker, podcaster, and
Script writer.
screenwriter.
Yeah.
You are, and you've been in the Screen Actors Guild in Hollywood for 31 years. The message is you are to immediately drive home to Knoxville and start the Knoxville Christian Film Festival to open up a much needed avenue to showcase award winning works of people honoring God with their films and music videos. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He goes, Sir, are you listening to me? You are to start tonight. As soon as you get
Wow.
home, you put it online on this thing called Film Freeway, which is like the eBay of film festivals.
Right.
And he said, you're starting it tonight, sir. And I'm like, dude, I've been in town for 4 months. I haven't even finished unpacking yet. I don't have a budget for this. I don't have contacts. I have nothing. And he said, Sir, you're not listening. You are to start it tonight.
Wow.
And I'm like, so I get in my car to
Also,
drive
you're
home.
like, all right, now, because then I got to get sponsors. I got to like, how to, then you start going like, I got to put structure around it. What do I do? Yeah.
So, I mean, so the fact of the matter is, all that you had said, all the craziness led me up because one of my first award winning book was my testimony of how I went from homeless to Hollywood. Right. And so, anyways, everything has led itself. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a documentary sometime later on this year. Over the next few months, we're going to put one together to show this journey of how this film festival came about because it's just beyond crazy,
That's
right?
fantastic. Yeah.
And so now I'm driving home and I've got speaker in the car. So I call Aranda in Bristol, and she's also a graphic designer. And I said, listen, you will never guess what I just got told. And she's like, oh, no, no, no. I know people in Knoxville that have tried this for 15 years and they've all failed. And I said, listen, I don't know any of these people. I'm sure they're nice people. I said, all I know is this. You told me 2 weeks ago that God brought me here to elevate me to new heights that I've never been before. 2 weeks later, a total stranger, 11 hours from my home, tells me this is what I got to do. That's too crazy.
Yeah.
I said, if you'll design a logo for me, I'll put it on this Film Freeway thing tonight and we'll get going. And she says, no, I said, Randa, I love you. You're my sister in Christ. She's a spiritual gal of mine, right? And I said, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I said, but at least pray and ask God before you say no what
Mm.
he wants you to do. So an hour later, Jennifer, I'm driving down the 81 freeway and coming towards Knoxville, right? And I stop to use the restroom and I check my phone and there's a text message from Randa and she says, my husband says I don't need to pray. It's a no-brainer. I need to help you immediately. So a week later, she's got a beautiful piece for. Matter of fact, you can see it right over this that I'm
I was
pointing
looking
at it.
behind you. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's not our logo. We started with that. It's a beautiful poster. I just absolutely love it. But marketing people said I needed to change it. And you can see there's a logo actually right underneath it, Knoxville Christian Film Festival. So, anyways, she got that. I got it up on Film Freeway. I got approved about a week later because they got to approve you and stuff, especially when you're only online. And all of a sudden, I start getting submissions from China, Vietnam, Sweden, Italy. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Right? Like nobody knows I exist, but I'm a spiritual guy. And I said, God, I will be Noah and build this if you'll be the promoter.
Yeah.
So somehow between midnight and 5 in the morning, 5 hours into this thing, I've got submissions from around the world. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do Knoxville International Christian Film Festival and let's introduce the Great Smoky Mountains to the world.
Yeah.
And we'll get filmmakers to come from across the world. So, how does this business build? We go on for 4 months, and I had two amazing marketing people. One of my friends used to be an international marketing director at Warner Brothers.
Mm.
And another guy helped build one of the big truck stops along the 40 freeway.
Yeah.
He helped take that company from 30,000 employees to 475,000
Wow.
before they sold out. Both of them, not knowing each other, both said to me, if you can get X amount of submissions in your first year, consider it a great success.
Yeah.
I said, okay. And it wasn't a giant number, but it wasn't anything, to sneeze at. And I said, okay, well, we got 4 less than double that number. So I was like, wow, this is awesome, right?
Right.
Now we were supposed to just be online only. And all of a sudden, 4 months later, right before we're closing the festival online, a gentleman, Tony Caudill from the Tennessee film community, they've got 7,000 plus members. And he calls me out of the blue, never had talked to the guy. And he says, can you meet me for coffee? So I go and meet him and he goes, we're going to do a entertainment networking event. If you would like, we'll give you 3 free hours to use the auditorium. We'll pay for the technicians, security,
Wow.
everything. You just have to show up with the films at Pellissippi State Community College out here in West Knoxville. Beautiful facility, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. Well, then as I started putting it online and I'm like, Lord, I said, send me people that want to come to this thing. I said, if you want to come, I'll show your film because one of the hardest things, Jennifer, is to ever just get an official selection
Yeah.
into any film festival is a challenge.
Yeah.
Right? Never mind becoming an award winner. And if you do, realistically, unless you're one of the big guys that has got a huge following that can really promote the festival, you're not going to get showcased.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here I was, and I said, well, wait a minute. That guy told me that my job was to provide an opportunity to showcase award-winning works. So I got myself a business license with the state of Tennessee, and my business license says that I'm allowed to bring a festival into a venue. I'm not allowed to be the venue,
Okay.
which is great. I mean, I can always change it later, right?
Right.
But right now, so I don't have to worry about security and
Yeah.
insurance around it, all of that stuff, contract setting, all that stuff.
Yeah. And you can move it around. You're not
And we
locked in. Yeah.
This laptop I'm talking to you on, I put a hard drive and I take that and we're good,
Right.
right? And so you hit it spot on. So we go to this place, and before we got there, I called the guy and I said, "Hey, man, I'm getting a lot of people coming down." So, Jennifer, we had people from 8 states,
Wow.
didn't know me from a hole in the wall. And I had to tell the guys, I need an extra hour. I need 4 hours because we've got so many people coming. And I spoke at a church out here in West Knoxville, and a guy that heard me jumped right up and he said, "I'll give you the money for your red carpet banner."
Wow.
So I got a beautiful red carpet banner, 4 hours of free theater in a beautiful 150-seat theater, and people came from 8 states. And that's how and so from our online only festival, we actually had a live showcase.
Yeah. That's amazing. So for our listener, most people don't realize, I think almost every community area has a film festival. I mean, Greenville has, it's called the Reedy Film Festival. I mean, people hear the big ones, right? Like the
Yes.
Toronto Film Festival, or the Sundance Film Festival. I mean, a lot of people.
Hans. Yep.
Yeah, the big ones, but Indiana has them. Like I said, Charleston has one. I think it's called the Charleston Film Festival. I didn't realize until you said that there's film festivals that are live, or there's ones that are just online that you can submit to. And I guess I didn't even realize either that that you created one that's more for Christian storytellers. And
Yes.
is that a gap? Are you like one of the only ones in the area, like in the country? Or, I mean, was that a gap it sounds like a gap that you filled.
I did fill a gap, and clearly is my assignment because of the things that have happened in this one. There's a bigger one that's been around for 14 years in Orlando. And there's some other ones, Faith and Family, or what. I haven't done a lot of research on them, because what I do when I'm doing my business is I focus on always just being the best Rob that I can be, putting out the best product, and let the chips fall where they may. If you're doing your best, the folks are going to find you. All right. So now we've got that happen. Then I call up this gentleman, a wonderful gentleman, Adam Phelps, and he and Kevin Sorbo, who you may know, they run a thing called Rise Up Con. And it just started like a week before I started the first film festival in July of 2024, July 2nd, the week before it. So I call them and I go down to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, about an hour or so away from me, and I meet and I said, "Listen, this is what I'm doing. And you guys have this thing where you've got people coming to see autographs and celebrities.
Right.
Having a film festival there would be a very cool addition for you guys."
Yeah.
So literally that logo that I'm trying to point to right there, that one there that says Knoxville Rise Up. By the time I got home, I didn't know that Adam was a marketing specialist. By the time I got home, Jennifer, an hour or so later, he sent me that thing and Knoxville Christian Film Festival live from Rise Up, and said, "I think we're going to be working together. You can start promoting this."
Wow. Yeah.
So in June, about a year ago, in 2025, 27, 28, 29, at the Music Road Convention Center at Pigeon Forge, they gave me a red carpet area. I bartered it off through promotion. And then they also gave me 7.25 hours over 3 days to showcase award-winning films. And we had people fly in from 12 states now and drive down from Canada. And it was just wonderful. And people got together, and now there's a whole bunch of filmmakers that are making films together that didn't even know each other before Rise Up Con
Right.
was called. And one thing, Jennifer, as I tell you, is that you're always at a place for a greater purpose than you actually think you are. Like, I thought I was there to promote award-winning filmmakers, which we were. But, for instance, I had the opportunity, and I run mine differently. I send everything up to the sky and say, "Lord, what do you want me to do with this project? Yes, no, maybe, gold, silver, bronze, whatever." Some of them are really easy, and he's like, "You don't need to ask me, no," or "You don't need to ask me, yes, it's a gold." But there was one, and it was a gal in Murfreesboro up near Nashville, and she had a piece. The message was about domestic violence. The piece itself wasn't going to be competitive against the other short films. So I said, God, this is a really powerful message, and I'm sure there's people dealing with this. I don't want to just throw this in the trash like it would get done at most festivals. This has value.
How do we
How
give
can I
this a platform? Yeah.
Yes. How can I do that? I get a message back that I hear, email her and ask her if she doesn't mind you putting it in the web series category, because this would make a really good web series and she could be an award winner in the web series category. So I email the gal. She emails me back literally like an hour later. She says, "Oh my God, I just was thinking about making a web series out of this. Yes, please move it there." Okay, she comes down on Friday, June 20th. And she gets there, and we had a little extra time. So I didn't know her story, right? I said, "Okay, come on up and chat with the audience for just a minute." She gets up there and she goes, "I survived 30 years of domestic violence. That's how I came to this thing. And I'm a counselor now and all of this." So we show her 4-minute film. And as she gets done, and she doesn't tell me this till a month later, she gets done. A young filmmaker from Nashville was also there as well, walks up to her and says, "Are you still in the middle of it?" And she said, "In the middle of what? Making my next film?" She says, "No, counseling." And she said to the girl, "Why? Are you in a situation?" She said, "Yes, I'm in a horrific situation and I can't get out of it." Since June of last year until at least now, as far as I know, those two are still working together. And she calls me up, the counselor, and says, "Rob, do you realize that you may have saved a life that day because you moved me into that other category rather than throwing me into the trash?"
Yeah.
And so that's how we run our festival. Our festival is about how can we honor people that are doing good messages. And everybody's not going to be the most creative or, the best editors or the best, soundtracks. But we
It's really
really
about like core message,
thank you.
lessons, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
very, very important ones. So now we have that festival. Then 3 days after that was done last June, Adam texts me and says, "We got to talk about next year. Let's talk about it," which just happened a few weeks back on April 10th and 11th, same place, Music Road Convention Center in Pigeon Forge. And listen, Jennifer, not only do we have somebody drive down from Canada, and we had 10 other states from around America where people drove up, and like Florida had several groups, South Carolina had groups, we actually had a guy fly in from the Isle of Malta, award-winning filmmaker. But this is how, when you say I'm filling a gap for people that believe and want to honor God, then yes, there is a huge gap that I'm filling. Here's a guy who flew in to watch his 9-minute video. He flew from Malta to Germany to Chicago to Knoxville, and then another hour or so, hour and a half drive down to Pigeon Forge, and
Wow.
then home again
Yeah.
to see his 9-minute. So the point is, yes, people like to be, as you know, doing this podcast, and you talk to other entrepreneurs, is that they want to be recognized for their creativity.
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise, and for me, if you notice what I said, I won one award with each of my books, one award. Now I was an award-winning screenwriter. I didn't need to have 50 awards for each one,
Right.
right? Once you're an award winner, you're an award winner, right? Right. Once you win the Stanley Cup or the World Series or the Super Bowl, you're a Super Bowl champ. They don't take it away from you. You don't need to win 100 Super Bowls, even though they would like to, whatever. But so when it comes to the entrepreneurial standpoint, now what happens was last June, right, almost a year ago, before the Pigeon Forge Fest, Dorothy, who I met at channel TV 49 down in Augusta, Georgia, allowed me to come on and do a 90-minute show announcing all the winners and promoting Rise Up Con. While we're doing that, 10 minutes in, she goes, "You know what?" She kept asking me all these questions. And she says, and she says, we're going out to lunch after this. I need to talk to you. So she takes me out to lunch in Augusta, and she offers me 6 months of airtime every single Saturday for 6 months if I'll produce the shows all at once to honor award-winning filmmakers, musicians, and do a half-hour show. So I have a half-hour show running every Saturday. And then back in December, a few months back, about 5, 6 months ago, right? I was down there and I said, listen, our run of shows is almost over. I need to talk to you about how we can possibly do this because we're still a young festival.
Right.
So she grabs me after the show and says, come here. She says, don't worry about airtime. We'll give you another 6 months.
Yeah.
Just keep making the shows.
Yeah.
Because the shows are having an incredible impact on people. There are people sharing their testimonies around. So I do a Zoom interview around whatever time out of the 28 minutes and 30 seconds we have that the film or the project doesn't take on. And so think about it. From an entrepreneurial standpoint, without a dime out of my pockets yet. So I know you're going to ask me this crazy question. I can just feel that you're going to ask me, how do you do this? And I'm just going to tell you, and I bet you and your audience already knows the dang answer. It's him. 3 award showcases for an online-only festival in 18 months. Worldwide TV show every Saturday on a Christian station that's been around for 40 years. This stuff just doesn't happen.
Yeah. People need the platforms and the connections and yeah.
Right. And so now not only do they get their films showcased at our festival, X amount, right? 26 at a time, 6-month time slot. I can do 26 more interviews with people and show their stuff and then put it on a YouTube channel. And then they can show it to people around the world all over the place all the time they want.
Yeah.
And so far, the Lord has given me everything that I need to do this. And I know other entrepreneurs are going to be sitting there shaking their head because I have yet, and I don't say this braggingly, I'm just following what I think are my marching orders, but I have yet to take a dime out of my pocket for any of this. The festivals, the submission money has been just enough
to
cover
organically kind of grow and cover and
yes,
yeah.
Yes, to cover my gas back and forth, to cover the hotel room for the night, to cover, other and little expenses just enough. Right now, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, now that we're just had our 3rd showcase and we've got all kinds of pictures, we got a TV show going on for a year, we got all this stuff.
Where do you go next? How are you going to expand it?
So now we're expanding. I've already sent letters to the White House, of all things, crazy me, and I've gotten 2 responses from the gentleman who calls himself the president.
Wow.
Yes. And I don't know where I have them hidden, but hold on 1 second. It's right here. I'll show you. All right. So I wasn't planning on that, but this is my latest one. I just got back from
Nice.
president, and then he also sent me another one back.
Wow.
So I'm introducing myself to them because they started the White House Office of Faith several months ago, was an executive order. And I'm like, okay, well, then you guys must have some money to help projects like mine grow, right? So my goal is to help Rise Up Con build as big as they can get because they're still growing as well.
You could make it like a whole South by Southwest. I mean, that's how they started. It was one festival that now led to 7 festivals that all merge within a 10-day period.
So, Jennifer, how about, so yes, you are spot on. So, just a couple weeks ago, and it takes a week or 2 or 3 to get some response, right? God gave me the vision, a weekend of faith in the fall at Dollywood. From the time they take the pumpkins down while they're setting up the Christmas lights, they've already got 3 beautiful theaters there. They already have a chapel there.
Yeah.
And a couple of months ago, I think like around December, a few months back, Dolly, as she was turning 80, she said, now that I'm 80 years old, the only thing I want to do the rest of my life is honor God. And here comes this bald guy from Knoxville to say, Dolly, how about a weekend of faith with award-winning filmmakers from around the country? You've already got a chapel there. We can
Right.
raise money for your
Well,
imagination
and then
library,
do a musician music festival with all, yeah. Yeah.
everything, right? And here's my ultimate. Now, this is my ultimate that he put on me. You know that NASCAR folks are very Christian, most of them, right? They actually have a special chapel just for the drivers on Sunday so they can go to church without being bothered, right? Bristol Motor Speedway is an hour and a half from me.
Right.
God gave me the vision to chat with those folks and do a weekend of faith with 80,000 people at the Bristol Motor Speedway.
Wow.
So these are the visions that I have for the future. And
Yeah.
I'm trusting that as things have happened, as I just keep plowing forward, incomparable Ava Hawk, right down where you are in Greenville, does all of the graphics for us. She provides the voice for the TV shows. She provided us with original music. I mean,
Nice.
even the TV show, Jennifer, if you watch the show on Saturdays, 3 p.m. on Watchman Broadcasting, WBPI.org, you see the opening shot is a drone shot of downtown Knoxville, the Sun Sphere, which it's famous for from the Olympics or World's Fair a while back, and the Great Smoky Mountains. And I literally prayed and I said, God, I would love to have video drone shot of this. And I said, so I go online again with no money. I just type in free downloadable drone shot, Sun Sphere and Smoky Mountains. Jennifer, the very first thing that pops up is a free downloadable thing, 30 seconds long, showing the Sun Sphere and the beautiful Smoky. If I paid $1 million, I couldn't have got a photographer to do any better.
Right.
And it said, the lady said, either leave a donation or provide me with credit on your project. So she's going to have a year's worth of credits on all of these shows, this lady, for putting that up there. And then Ava, my ace right-hand
Right.
gal, my partner in crime, she gave me some original music, just
Wow.
without the lyrics, right? And I played that and I'm like, oh my God, this is so perfect for the open and the credit roll. And so everything that has happened for me is not typical entrepreneurial, right? Where you're
Right.
raising money ahead of time and you're getting invest. But now we are working on that because now we're at a point where God has given us 3 festivals, a TV show. We have a very sellable product now.
Right.
So now what we're doing is we don't want investors because I don't
You don't
want
want
this
more
to.
platforms. You need
Yes.
sponsors.
We are looking for
Yeah.
financial partners who have been blessed with cash, who want something good to do with it. And my true ultimate, Jennifer, would be in Knoxville to have a full-time Christian event center. So take an old theater that's just sitting around and have one of the theaters be for faith-based films Fridays
Right.
and Saturdays. You're not going to do it. Also, you can have a theater in there for theater people. You can have another theater for concerts.
Right.
And then you also have classrooms where you're giving away free scholarships to children who want to learn acting, music, art can come, and also a small movie studio in it, and banquet seminar facilities so people can have conferences and stuff there as well. And so it would be a full-time operate. So that would be the
That's
final
like your other big epic, like, impact.
Well, all I can tell you is this, that a few weeks back, somebody came up to me and said, hey, man, I know you think that God brought you here to do this film festival. Just want to let you know, he's already told me to let you know that that is just the tip of the iceberg on why he brought you here.
Yeah.
So listen, this is not your typical entrepreneurial thing, right? With getting investors ahead of that. No, we built a platform first that was very sellable, that shows that people are interested, right? They're flying in from Malta, Canada.
Right.
People are interested in this. So now we're looking for financial partners so that Ava, myself, Monique, our producer, can at least eat.
That's right.
right? We've been fortunate up till now to be able to still eat, but at some point, right, you got to make it. So now, but you have to have a sellable product.
Yeah.
And now we have a zillion times over a sellable product because I just said yes. When it seemed crazy, I said, I'll build the ark if you'll help me. And he gave me Ava, he gave me Monique, our producer, our consultant, one of our judges. And everybody has just been dedicating themselves to helping out honor these filmmakers from across the world. So now it's time for to make sure that we can eat and expand it
Right.
because we
You
can't.
built the foundation. Now it's like, how do we go? You know,
Yes.
I always say, like, the last couple of years, it was, if you believe in the zodiac stuff, it was like, last year was the year of the snake, a
Mm,
lot of shedding. You learn, you're building
interesting.
foundation. This year is the year of the horse. Giddy up. It's time to go. Right.
Wow. Very cool. Thank
There
you
you
for
go.
sharing that.
So if you to expand, so if you could change something about your business today, it would be you need like you need sponsors, underwriters,
Correct.
financial partners to really expand and take this to the next level. Like,
Correct.
yeah, you guys have created this product, the platform, you know that there's an audience. You're giving, you just got to make more noise, right? Now it's
Yeah,
time.
I mean, on our last, just so we have the TV show, right, that people can see around the world, the YouTube channel and stuff, and then just I was taking snapshots on Facebook because I had to learn social media marketing.
Yeah, so
I had
fun.
to, let me tell you,
How many
right?
times have you been kicked out of Meta?
Right? It's like, I'm still learning all this stuff, but, and eventually we'll be able to get somebody in here to do all that stuff. But, you got to set the
You gotta do
foundation,
it.
right?
You gotta do it yourself. That's a lot of us. Yeah.
But and so to say that, I started looking at it says professional dashboard. If you go on Knoxville International Christian Films, on Facebook, you'll see our Facebook page and you'll see it's tremendously active. And if you look at our website, knoxvillechristianfilms.com, you'll see a tremendously active website that you don't see on many of the other places. And the reviews are
Right.
just amazing. But the point being is last year, when I was going to our one in June, and I forgot all the ones right now, our last one. Been so busy afterwards doing some other stuff. But last year, I was taking snapshots and it would say how many people have looked at your web page or your Facebook page.
Right.
We had 101,000 plus people look at our Facebook page the 30 days before our festival last June. So the interest, I have
So you have
snapshots of all
interest.
this, and that's on one of the pages of my pitch deck are the 80,000, 100,000, 97,000. So there's an audience.
Right.
Now we just need those people who have been blessed financially who say, you know what, I got an extra couple of this or I got a lot of this because we also have my faith-based scripts that can be produced. I have a TV show
Right.
on sobriety that would possibly save lives, even just one, but you got to, and all those are available as part of this package.
Yeah. No, I love that. So if we met, I came up to Knoxville a year from now, next spring, what are we celebrating?
We're celebrating the fact that we are going to be going to Rise Up in the spring and Dollywood in the fall.
All right. We're manifesting it. We're going to put it
We
out there.
are
It's going to happen.
manifesting it.
Exactly. So if you had to sum up, I'm sure this is an easy question for you with the books that you've done. But if you summed up your journey in one word, what word would you use?
God.
Faith, God. Yep.
That's
And then
it.
if you look ahead to the next chapter, what do you want that word to define that chapter?
Unbelievable.
Ah, that's right. We're gonna make it happen.
I'm
What do you
feeling something. I
I
don't know,
know.
Jennifer, as you're sharing, my whole body is going like with good stuff here.
I love it. So, I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff and you've had, you know, tough times, but you're seeing how paths work. I call it there's no mistakes or errors. It's just
Mm-hmm.
lessons learned and
Mm-hmm.
how you relearn, unlearn, learn again, create impact. with everybody that comes in your but, how do you deal with chaos and stress? Like, do you have routines or disciplines and stuff that you do to maintain whether it's sobriety or maintain, like, the discipline of staying focused on your mission?
The biggest thing that I share with everybody, and 99% of people never pay attention, but the ones that do enjoy it. I start my day every single day with a little bit of prayer and at least a half an hour to 2 hours of meditation before I leave the house. And when I say meditation, I don't mean I'm cross legged on the floor. It's like I go, I grab a cup of coffee. I have Bootsy, my wonderful cat. She waits for me on my chair. I bring out the coffee, I sit down. Bootsy sits between the arm of the chair and my leg. It's perfect. She backs right in and and if I don't get there fast enough, Jennifer, if I'm klutzing around it, she'll start going, yeah, in the other room, like, hello, it's my
It's time.
meditation.
That's
But
right.
I'm telling you that, and one of the things that we have in the 12-step program, I do go to some 3 or 4 or 5 meetings a week, some online, some in person in Knoxville, and try to help out where I can. But the reality is most of the people just don't want to do the work. And so my service work in AA, we have a vision for you is the last thing on the first 164 pages, which is the real program. And it says if your relationship with him is right, great events will come to pass for you and countless others. So I make myself right with him. He sends me to Alaska. I get all this stuff. I come to Knoxville. He says, start a film festival. I started. I said, I don't even have a dime. He says, no, but you have me. And we just shared all this stuff that has happened and the visions that he's given me, right? So clearly, he's given me somebody out in this world, whether it be, the person who's going to give you 1,000 or the person who's going to give you 10 or the person that's going to say, you know what, I got an extra 3, 4 million. Let me just, I love this. This is what I've been waiting to do. So whatever it is, but prayer and meditation. And also, if I can share this with you, Jennifer, the pause when disturbed and agitated and cease fighting anything and everyone. Those are two of the nuggets in the 12-step program. They're not any of the steps, but they're in the first part of the program. And I share that because I don't know if you saw this story. It was a couple of months back, and it was a young guy. They showed the picture of him, a beautiful family. He was probably around 25, 26, 27, standing there. His wife dressed up like a wonderful lady from Greenville would, a Sunday dress in the spring, right? Just reminds me of my friend Ava down there in Greenville, and she dresses so wonderfully prim and proper and wonderful. And so the mom is there, and the mom's got a newborn in her hand, and there's probably a 2-year-old girl on the side of him. The other one was probably 4. And dad was at a Target and didn't like the fact that somebody was taking his parking space. He discusses the matter with the guy, and the guy blows him away, like over a piece of asphalt with
Right,
2 white lines in somewhere that he doesn't even own.
right.
And he lost his life, and now his wife and 3 little daughters have to grow up without daddy because he didn't pray, he didn't meditate, he didn't take the time for self-love and for self-care. Right? If you don't love you, if I don't love me, who's going to love us? Why
Right.
should somebody else make up for what we're not willing to do for ourselves?
That's right. I always say, the sign of a good leader and leaders aren't there are no titles, right? We all lead from our seat no matter where, we doesn't matter. Hierarchy goes away, right? It's
Yes.
just you can lead. But discernment is probably one of the hardest disciplines of leadership.
Ego.
Yeah, humility. You've got to take the time to take the pause to go, do I need to react to that? Do I need to prioritize that? Does that make sense? Am I going to create impact? Am I going to go off mission? Whatever that mission is, if your mission is family, protection, servitude, whatever, you've got to stay. And discernment, I think, is one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
you asked this question, and so I'll give you a perfect example. Last June, so almost a year ago, when we had our Rise Up Con, Ava was kind enough to bring a wonderful camera. We were shooting everything with our cell phones, which has
Right.
got 4K and 1080
Yeah.
HD. It's more than good enough, right? But she brought a wonderful Canon camera and all this, and she was going to video everything and give me the SD card and all that. So she films it all weekend, right? She goes to dub it off on my hard drive and she goes, "Oh my God." She goes, "My fat finger," and she does not have fat fingers. She said, "My fat finger accidentally hit the slow motion button and everything got so the entire weekend, except for 20 minutes, I have nothing to give to you."
It's overly dramatic.
And I said, yep. And I said to her, I said, simply said, "It happened the way God needed it to, Ava. Apparently, we didn't need that video this weekend." And she goes, "Oh my God, you handled this with such grace and compassion." I said, "Ava, did you mean to push the button and screw everything up?"
Right.
"No." So apparently we didn't need it. And guess what? We just had our next Rise Up Con just a couple weeks ago. They call it Rise Up Tennessee now. She was there again and we got all we needed.
That's all you
So
needed. Yeah.
if I'm centered in myself, and the other key to success, Jennifer, that I do not allow chaos into my life. If you call me and you're all, I say, "Listen, I love you. Call me tomorrow when you get yourself together." Right? God didn't put any of us here to solve everyone's problems. People have to take responsibility. I always say in the AA meetings, it's time to put on your big boy, big girl pants and start, making your amends and doing the things. And,
You got to do the work. Yep.
you want to have a successful podcast, you got to get a microphone, you got to get a
Right.
computer, you got to get a
And
platform,
you
right?
get
Nothing to,
disciplined of like, how am I going to go? Yeah, it takes work. Um, a lot of work, as entrepreneurs and founders. And I think one of the biggest, like you said, you've got to pause, but
yes,
also you got to take, I mean, however, meditation. I mean, yes, there are people that do the meditation with the crossed legs, but I'm a big believer of, you just need to have moments to yourself where you need to quietly think, and that's where creative juices usually happen. And creativity happens anywhere. Like somewhere like, I'm not creative. Well, I'm an engineer, but you still it's problem solving. It
absolutely.
is, we call it creativity is just intelligence having fun. Is
Interesting.
That's an Einstein quote. So
I
yeah,
like that.
but yeah, it's like, doesn't matter what you do, but you'll never be able to feed that creativity if you don't just every day take a moment to yourself, reset, recalibrate, think, do rewind, but don't do too much rewind, because then
That, yes.
those ghosts that bubble up, create clutter. But yeah, how do you move forward? Look for connections, right? Look for, am I missing a sign? Am I missing signals? Who do I need to, what do I need to do to create impact or stay on mission? So I think those moments of pausing brings a lot of clarity.
Only 15 minutes. I tell people, especially in the 12 step, I say, if you just stop for 15 minutes before you start your day. And
Yes.
there was a guy, if I can share this, this is a really quick one. This guy a couple months ago took a chip for 6 months sobriety, probably in his mid 40s. And he had his 20-year-old daughter next to him. It was a Sunday. They allow a family to come on Sundays to this particular meeting. Anyways, he said, "I'm getting my 6 month coin, and I just want, you guys are welcome to come and ask my 20-year-old daughter, Caroline, how much better of a man I am in only 6 months since I started listening to Rob and started meditating for 15 minutes every morning."
Yep.
I mean, come on now. How much better of a man I am?
Right. It's amazing.
Wow.
I mean, that's like the whole book, Atomic Habits. Of it, it's not. We're not talking about big habits. It's usually the little ones. And Rob, I'll share with you. So I call a 6-4-1 challenge. I heard this from another founder, and this is my 4th year going into it.
Well,
How wonderful it's like structured, my life and things, but it's 6 mini adventures. So find about every other month things that you would have said no to before, things that you have always wanted to do, whether it's with your children, whether it's with, a greater family or just yourself. But plan out 6 little adventures. They could be day trips. Like I've
hmm
done hiking trips up in the waterfalls. I've done, experimenting with like sound baths or just things that I'm like, that sounds weird. I'm going to try it. Things that, whatever, break you out of your comfort zone. But they're little things that you can look forward to, right? If you plan them out about every
Yes.
other month. So it kind of keeps that spirit of I've got something I can look ahead to. And then the 4 is adopt 4 quarterly habits. Things that you can do, whether it's daily or weekly, but things that, nothing big, but that you adopt. And so at the end of the year, now you have 4 new habits that have like now made your life a little bit better. So I've done like daily writing was a couple years ago.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Deep dive in scripture, daily scriptures was one of my habits. Daily walking was another one of my habits.
Yes.
Doing like writing in a journal of like 3 questions I end the day with of what brought me joy, what is giving me angst, like before I
Wow.
go to bed, like what is in like tension, and then what's something I'm looking forward to tomorrow. That was one of the habits I started 4 years ago. And then one thing is like, what's the one like year defining epic thing? Whether it's a big trip that you've always wanted to do, like a bucket list thing.
Yeah.
Mine last year was I wrote a book. And so, yeah, so
Awesome.
it's like structured. That the first couple years I did it, it was like, oh, let me try it. Last year was one of the things where it was, wow, I see the difference. Like, and I love it, but it doesn't take much. It's those little habits that really transform yourself, both, as a founder and entrepreneur, as a mom, friend, whatever. Yeah. More disciplines,
Absolutely.
little routines make big
It is. It's
impacts.
just the little stuff. It's all about starting. My latest book that I just was nominated a while back, last October, I was in Hollywood at the same stage where they do the Emmys at the Lowe's Theater. And here's a guy that got a D in English in high school, and I was nominated for Author of the Year in Personal Development. So I really
Wow.
like that. And I was one of 6 finalists, and they had the big award show out there. And the guy that won in my category actually used to work at the White House.
Wow.
So I haven't read his book, but I'm sure it's quite the story,
Yeah,
and but to be in amongst
in that
that,
room
yes,
feels
right?
so good that you're like, wow, this is my peer group, right?
And the book is called The Book You're Dying Not to Write: Approaching Your Unapproachable Calling in Life. So it's all about you, Jennifer, writing the first word of that book. And from there, everything else
Everything else comes.
flows,
That's right.
right?
Well, Rob, I appreciate this. Like, I loved hanging out with you and hearing your story and your journey. Before we go, where can people get a hold of you, connect with you, find out more how they can support what you're doing?
So for the Knoxville International Christian Film Festival, it is knoxvillechristianfilms.com. You will see everything on there. And on the back, there's a contact page. And then personally, especially if somebody has an issue with sobriety, maybe on my personal website, you can go on there, robekno.com, and you can see all my books are there. There are videos that I put on online as well, short ones, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, talking about various entities of my sobriety as well. And my 28-year-old brother who saved my life ended up drinking again at 4 years and passed away at 28. And my grandmother passed away at 52 with no liver. This is my family as well. And so
Yeah,
anywhere I can go to help another human being have a better life. But if you'd really like to get involved with the film festival and help us just take this to heights that nobody would probably have ever expected, we would love for you to please contact us through there.
perfect. Rob, thank you. And we'll tag and put the links when we air this episode. But that's a wrap on today's chaos. But the journey doesn't stop here. If you found yourself really inspired by the story of Rob, make sure to subscribe, share, and leave us that 5-star review on Spotify. Or you can dig deeper into founder resources and tools, more episodes over at orangewhip.com. That's orange, WIP.com. And that stands for a work in progress because that's what we all are. So until next time, stay curious, stay scrappy, and remember, we are all a work in progress. See you again next week.